John Bodine with Redemptive Psych, and in this video we're talking about the needs of the INTJ. This will both apply to you if you are an INTJ or to partners, teachers, friends, whoever in your life who might be an INTJ as well. Now, when it comes to needs, the idea of needs, from the get-go, that is really difficult for an INTJ. They know that other people have needs, and they want to do their best, usually, to help accommodate or meet the needs of other people. However, because of their strong desire and their need for freedom and the vision of the future that they see as possible, they have a really hard time with just even the concept of having a need or being needy. To them, it is evidence of their imprisonment. It is an accusation against their freedom. Now, as INTJs who grew up and mature and are willing to face life a little more, they realize that the truth about things actually enables freedom that is based in reality, which is actually freedom to begin with. But just even this conversation of having needs and the things that you need, it's difficult for SI demons, for the INTJ, to even go into that space. Now, as you have noticed, we're only talking about 3 archetypes in this series. We're talking about the hero, the inferior, and the critic. Why is that? This might bother an INTJ specifically. With TE parent, they want to be precise, sometimes exhaustive with covering the landscape. The reason why is because we are trying to be efficient here, and no one understands efficiency more than the INTJ. The ability to not waste effort, to utilize information to get the result as quickly as possible, get a good result as quickly as possible. That's something they understand. So my theory, my hypothesis is that utilizing these 3 functions specifically in the area of needs here, hero, inferior, critic, will produce something like a Pareto principle where these 3 eighths will produce most of the results, most, not all, most of the results of meeting the needs of the INTJ. Now, to review from our series overview, needs has 2 components. It has the component of giving, of we need to give in order to meet our needs, but more likely we associate receiving. I need other people to accommodate what I need as an aspect of needs, but we need both to needs in essence are both, they are dual in nature. They are to give and to receive. This is something that Gary Chapman in his book on the 5 love languages and C.S. Lewis in his book on the 4 loves talk about. Need love and gift love is what Lewis refers to it. So with that in mind, we're going to discuss the dichotomy, the duality of the needs as attached to these 3 functions. Starting with the hero, introverted intuition hero, the INTJ's powerhouse, the willpower, the vision, overcoming the impossible odds to break through whatever obstacles stand between them and their goals. Now, what does the INTJ need to receive? All the letters in black are reception. All the letters in blue are what they give. Now, NI hero needs freedom and space from other people. They need this space to consider, to mull over, to dream. NI hero is all about dreaming. It's like this active, constant daydreaming of what could be, what's the path forward, what might that look like. It's this constant consideration of the future. Now, the future doesn't always, go 5, 10, 20 years. It might go 20 minutes from now or an hour from now. It's an anticipation function. And in order for them to feel a little more comfortable with SE inferior, because it's really difficult with that performance anxiety, basically, in order for them to deal with that, they need to go through and think through the different factors that they can anticipate that's going to help them be less anxious with extroverted sensing. They also need support, and this is kind of a distant support, but people who believe in them, who believe in their visions, even if they don't understand or don't really necessarily agree with it, but some kind of support, some kind of encouragement for what the INTJ is up to. Now, what do they provide? NI hero provides desire. It's swanty of other people. It provides that fire. It infuses fire into other people, which can also inspire. But other types want to be chosen, want to be sought after, want to be wanted, okay? They are a source of that. And obviously, they're also a source of vision. They can unify people together or they can live out the example of their vision and be inspirational and clarifying as a result. Other types, like high extroverted intuition users, see what's possible but don't necessarily see what the right path might be. INTJs can really commit to that path, clarify and inspire with their vision. Now, here also they provide examples of overcoming the impossible or proving possible what others thought impossible. This might be more of a life work for them, a certain task or achievement that they put everything into. They overcame the impossible to achieve. They don't quit when they are committed and able to cope with the challenges. They keep going towards their vision as soon as they're truly committed to it. Okay, now for the inferior, extroverted sensing inferior. This is the vulnerable spot of how other people react to me, the anxiety that they don't have what it takes to perform or to do a certain task. They need responsiveness. This is a huge thing. It might seem simple, like if INTJ sends you a text or if they're trying to get a hold of you, being responsive and available, if you can manage it, is very important. In conversation, looking at them, or just being responsive in general, kind of it's more than just being attentive. It's choosing to use your attention towards them as valued, meaning that you value responding to them as opposed to what else that you might be doing. Now, there's boundaries there that you may need, fair enough, but being responsive to SE inferior relieves that anxiety. Being consistent, okay, this is more of a long-term thing. The inverse of this is promising too much, of saying, I'll do this and all these dreams. ENPs struggle with this, of promising too much, because they hope to be able to make those things come true for their INTJ, but they can't always. So if you're engaging with another INTJ or with an INTJ, try not to promise too much unless you can come through with that. Whatever you promise, try to do your best to fulfill that promise, which means you probably have to promise less if you're prone to promising too much. Lastly here, comfort. Try and make yourself comfortable around the INTJ. I know everyone can't do that. I have a hard time doing that as another SI demon, but try and make yourself comfortable. Maybe exaggerate calm body language, talking in a non-chaotic way that can help them be calm and help them bring their A game to the table. So being responsive, being consistent, promising less if you overpromise, and then trying to make yourself comfortable around the INTJ. Okay, what does SE inferior provide? Excellence. When they pursue something, when they devote their attention and their vision to developing a craft or a skill, they can be truly, truly excellent in that pursuit. And they can set themselves apart from anyone, potentially, with single-minded devotion to a skill. Likewise, kind of like in Hero, they can inspire, because overcoming this insecurity and becoming among the best in your craft, that is inspirational to overcome this anxiety, this uncertainty, and to prove your skill. That's what SE inferiors desire. And they can also, with the INTJs with SE inferior, it's a little bit more baked in, the idea of inspiration to create things that inspire others. The INFJ is somewhat, but it's a little different. SE inferior loves to put on such a great performance that it inspires others. Okay, down to the critic. TI critic is tricky. TI critic is tough to deal with. They are very, very critical about truth and falsehood, about right answers and wrong answers, about, hey, I think your reasoning is really trash with that. They can be kind of brutal about other people's thoughts at times. So there's an important point here to understand, and I'm going to start with the critic with what they provide, because it will frame the context better. They provide care and thought. Okay, TE parent, which the INTJs also have, understands the importance and the potentially life-saving or threatening importance of correct information. They know the influence that certain bits of information has on minds. They know if someone believes this, that may lead to something really bad. And it's really like risk control. If they put time into verifying an answer, it's because they care about how it shapes other people's minds. And this is the importance of being correct. TE parent is very careful and parental and responsible and precise with filtering out bad information and only sharing and shaping the minds of others with good quality information. That is their kind of social service. A lot of INTJs are educational in some degree, whether they're in a classroom, whether they're raising children and cultivating the minds of their children, or working with someone and just trying to give them the right information. The correct information is like the lifeblood. It's very important to them. It's like part of their purpose. It's part of what they give back. So TI Critic knows the deadly consequences, the potential deadly consequences of wrong information. So yes, they can be kind of a pain to deal with, TI Critic, but acknowledging that first, the importance of their mission, it is vital, just as all the missions of the critics are vital within their context. The first thing to give to the critic, to TI Critic, is honor the mission. Recognize its importance. Recognize that the INTJ with TI Critic is kind of like this old person who's pointing out flaws in other people's thinking. They have they actually have an idealistic purpose in that. They hope for a world in which people are more careful with their thoughts, careful with what they share, careful with what they believe. So honoring the mission is a big step in gaining the respect and the trust of an INTJ and allowing TI Critic to shape you potentially. The critic, in my opinion, is the most influential function in terms of gaining trust or being dismissed by other people. So honor the mission, permission to play. This is going to take longer. This is a little harder. I can relate to this somewhat with the TI child. Like, I'll say stuff just kind of randomly, and TI Critic's like, that's wrong because of this or this, and they don't understand always that they're like messing with the play. Like, I'm not, just because I say something doesn't mean I'm going to use that or tell that to thousands of people. So TI critics you can challenge a critic here, the TI critic, in saying, I'm just kind of playing around. I'm just exploring this. I'm not committed to this. I need to be able to do this in order to filter through. It's how I filter through, not necessarily how you do. However, at the end of the day, TI Critic itself actually wants to live in a world where they can play. The deepest desire of the critic is to play again, is to be like a child once again. So tapping into this permission to play, do so carefully, but it's what the critic really seeks after. And then lastly here, supporting independence. As independent as INTJs are, they are arguably the most independent of all the types. They are still dependent at times on the beliefs and research and thoughts of other people because they don't believe that they can get the right answer, or not fast enough, or not good enough. They're very critical of their own thinking. So encouraging them, particularly pointing out times where they were right, where they came to the right answer, when they took the risk to think for themselves as a solution and not just criticize things. That's what the critic is prone to do. It misses all the good stuff. It misses all the times it worked. Pointing out times it worked. Trying to invite the TI critic to try to solve problems on their own, as opposed to just being reliant on, this study said this, or that person said this, and I don't know. All we can know is that we don't know. That's kind of TI critic's endpoint, and that is helpful to a degree. But if they only stop there, they will still be dependent on the research of other people. So TI critics' road to playing again is building trust slowly in their own thinking. And it's not that you're never going to make a mistake. It's the ability to make a mistake and keep going. That's what TI critic with its perfectionism struggles with. So honoring the mission, maybe exemplifying the permission to play, and challenging the critic when they destroy your argument of saying, hey, I'm exploring this. I'm not saying I'm committed to this, and I would like if you came to explore this with me. And the critic, with its energy, has a small capacity to play every day. And then support their independence. Help them, encourage them to think through solutions, not just criticisms, and that will help them build up some independence in their own thinking, which is what they want anyway. All right, guys, that is the needs of the INTJ around these three functions, the hero, inferior, and critic. I know you INTJs waited a while because the INTJ video was the last to release, so I wanted to get your video out first in this series. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you got something out of it. Thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you next time. Bye.